Clemson shines this week as a 15-0 national champion in a spectacular performance over Alabama from Levi's Stadium. But the 2018-19 college football season was so much more than one game. From a Notre Dame win over Michigan in Week 1 to LSU's series of upsets to start the season, all the way to Ohio State's win over Michigan in rivalry week to the conference championships, it all counts in the opinion of college football coaches in the Amway poll via USA Today. The Amway Coaches Poll is conducted weekly throughout the regular season using a panel of head coaches at FBS schools. The panel is chosen by random draw, conference by conference plus independents, from a pool of coaches who have indicated to the American Football Coaches Association their willingness to participate. Each coach submits a top 25 with a first-place vote worth 25 points, second place 24, and so on down to 1 point for 25th. For the final time this season, here's how college football coaches across the country rank the best in the sport. Clemson sits atop the college football world at 15-0 after a shocking domination last night over previous number 1 Alabama. The Tigers return the majority of their offensive pieces and will likely be the top team in most 2019 preseason polls after what just took place. In the spotlight of all spotlights, Trevor Lawrence delivered. The true freshman threw for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Crimson Tide. On the field after the game, Lawrence told a national audience he has eyes on 3 more rings. Alabama's season ends without a championship as Nick Saban will continue his chase of history regarding Bear Bryant. Losing 44-16 was not the way any Alabama fans expected Monday night to go against the Tigers, but it will certainly serve as fuel for returning stars like Tua Tagovailoa. The Heisman Trophy runner-up, and his offensive counterparts, could not find enough momentum against Brent Venables and the Clemson defense. Tagovailoa's sophomore season ends with 295 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in a loss to Clemson. One of those interceptions went for the first 6 points of the game. Dwayne Haskins and Paris Campbell were spectacular in what was likely the final game for both. As Ohio State takes out Washington 28-23 to end its season on top, Haskins and Campbell both took new spots in the record books. Haskins finishes his Heisman finalist season with 50 touchdown passes and 4,831 passing yards. Campbell set the single-season receptions record, 88, and has the first 1,000-yard season in 16 years at Ohio State. Oklahoma gave Alabama as good a fight as anyone not named Georgia, but it was not enough to get to the finals. The Sooners, losers 45-34, finished the season 12-2. The only losses come against teams that finish as top 15 programs in Alabama and Texas. In the Orange Bowl, Kyler Murray left it all out there on his last ride with 308 passing yards, 109 rushing yards and 3 combined touchdowns against one of the toughest defenses in the country. Next up, pro baseball. Probably, Notre Dame's undefeated season ended at the hands of Clemson without much of a strong fight. The Fighting Irish say goodbye to a series of key players like cornerback Julian Love, lineman Jerry Tillery, receiver Miles Boykin and backup quarterback Brandon Wimbush. There is plenty of talent left in South Bend to make another run in 2019. That includes emerging quarterback star Ian Book, who finishes his first season as starter with 2,628 passing yards, 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Florida finishes at 10-3 after a dominant 41-15 victory over Michigan in the Peach Bowl. The victory saw Florida's running game lead the way to victory while its defense gave Shea Patterson plenty of problems. Lamico Perine, Felipe Franks and Jordan Scarlett combined for 29 runs, 209 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Both Perine and Franks are back for 2019. Joe Burrow had himself a day in the 40-32 victory over UCF in the Fiesta Bowl. Not only did Burrow win over a lot of fans with his toughness after an ugly hit, but he finished the day with 394 passing yards and 4 touchdowns to end his first year with LSU. Nice pickup for LSU in the former Ohio State backup. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson teamed up for 10 catches, 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. Hold that, Tiger. A series of NFL declarations and departures hit Georgia hard, with changes coming in spring when it comes to the depth chart. It was an 11-3 finish for the Bulldogs that saw wins over number 24 South Carolina, number 9 Florida, number 9 Kentucky and number 24 Auburn. The losses, however, speak the loudest at the end of the year, with a 35-28 loss to Alabama and 29-21 loss to Texas to close out the season. Jake Fromm and DeAndre Swift had strong sophomore seasons. Fromm finishes with 2,537 yards, 27 touchdowns and 5 picks. Swift ends at 1,037 yards and 10 touchdowns as the team's leading rusher. Texas has its first 10-win season since 2009's run to the BCS championship. It happened in style, too, with a 28-21 victory over a talented Georgia team in the national spotlight. Texas may have failed to capture a conference championship or crash the college football playoff, but a season that saw a win over Oklahoma and 4 other ranked wins is the right step under Tom Herman. Wazoo fell short of its ultimate goal with an Apple Cup loss to Washington. Before that, Washington State was the Pac-12's best shot at a college football playoff berth. Still, it was a stellar season for Washington State under Mike Leach. An 11-2 season saw a signature home win over number 12 Oregon and a borderline Heisman-level season from quarterback Gardner Minshew in his one season as a rental. It is the second 11-win season of Leach's career and the first in Washington State history. Kentucky picked up win number 10 in bowl season to officially make it the best season in modern program history on the gridiron. The last time Kentucky won double-digit games in a bowl, Bear Bryant led the Wildcats to the Sugar Bowl in 1950. Star players Benny Snell and Josh Allen played like it in the Citrus Bowl win over Penn State. Allen logged his final 3 sacks as a college player and Snell went for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Heupel picked up where Scott Frost left off in Orlando but did not have quite enough to finish the job against LSU the same way UCF did last season against Auburn. The Knights end their stellar season at 12-1 after an 8-point loss to LSU. Even after Mackenzie Milton went down in horrific fashion, UCF kept fighting. Chris Peterson. It was an interesting year for Washington, which has seen multiple stars depart from its defense for the NFL after the season. It started rough against Auburn and finished with a frustrating loss in the Rose Bowl to Ohio State, but there were plenty of good moments. The Huskies finished 10-4 this season with the Apple Cup and Pac-12 championship as the best moments of the year. Heading into 2019, eyes turn to Georgia quarterback transfer Jacob Eason, who likely takes over for the departing Jake Browning. Playing without a series of star players, Michigan looked like a different team when it took the field against Florida in the Peach Bowl. The result was a blowout 41-15 loss that sends Jim Harbaugh into the offseason with frustration. The Wolverines look dominant, at times, in a 10-3 season and hold the No.1 recruiting class in the Big Ten. Losing to Ohio State and Florida is not how any Wolverines wanted to see the season end. Syracuse has not won double-digits games since 2001. Give credit to the fast turnaround under coach Dino Babers. In 7 years of head coaching experience, Babers has now led 3 different programs to 10-win seasons. 16 Texas A. Boise State 10-3, 25. Iowa 9-4.